Now, earlier today, we found out tragic news from the leader of Malaysia. Let's roll that for you.
Based on their new analysis, Inmarsat and the AAIB have concluded that MH370 flew along the southern corridor and that its last position was in the middle of the Indian Ocean, west of Perth. This is a remote location, far from any possible landing sites. It is therefore with deep sadness and regret that I must inform you that according to this new data, flight MH370 ended in the southern Indian Ocean.
Now, tragic news, a huge press conference, all the press obviously talking about this story today and over the last couple of weeks. But over the last couple of days, Fox News actually had a different take on why the press was talking about this so much. First, let's go to a contributor they have.
It's just so sad, but think how long it took for them to get this kind of media attention. I mean, living in Malaysia, the government seemingly ignored these people. They didn't want their stories to get out. They weren't talking to them. I mean, they were taking, you see the camera swarming. They were saying, no one has come to my house. No one has told me what has happened. Bob, get ready. Put these in your ears. Feels like the families of Benghazi. Just saying.
Well, I'm glad that Fox News has finally connected these two very important stories, the missing flight and Benghazi. Now, that was Andrea Tantaros, but Bill O'Reilly is going to complete this circle, or triangle perhaps, by explaining how the media is focusing on the missing jet for a different reason related to Benghazi. Let's hear him out.
The media is running wild with the airline story, as you know, and there is a big reason why. Money. The nation's newspapers are in dire trouble. They need bold headlines. The network news doesn't want to cover important stories like the IRS and Benghazi, but they can cover the airliner without any political consequences. Cable news, which now dominates America's primetime media, is in a brutal war for ratings. The Fox News Channel was the #1 rated cable channel in the country last week. Not just news, all cable channels. We beat everybody, the zombies, the thrones, you name it. So there's a lot at stake here. FNC wants to keep its leadership, and its main competitor, CNN, understands there's an appetite for the airline story.
All right, so I like how Bill O'Reilly took the missing plane as an opportunity to, A, brag about his own ratings. That's always classy. Number two, talk about IRS and Benghazi. So apparently, it's not that the plane story was interesting, it's that it's because the media is covering up for IRS and Benghazi. Of course, they don't want the administration getting blamed for that. So since they work for the administration, they decided this was a helpful diversion. Come on, does even the viewers of Fox News Channel, do they even believe this nonsense? You can't really think that, could they? No one is that delusional, right? But Bill O'Reilly goes on there every night and he's like, oh yeah, I'll tell ya. They would be talking about IRS and Benghazi if it wasn't for the missing plane. The one thing he is right about is, yes, the CNN is absolutely obsessed with the plane, and it's definitely because of ratings. There's no question about that. They got good ratings from it. They haven't gotten good ratings from anything else, and they continue to do it because of that. We've talked about that on this show. But CNN is not trying to cover up for... You know how boring Benghazi is? Let alone the fact that it's not a real controversy? So apparently, according to Bill O'Reilly, what they should have done instead is cover a non-story. The IRS story, my God, they investigated liberal groups just as much as conservative groups, is the biggest non-story in American history. And apparently he thinks CNN would do much better if they bored their audience with those two made-up stories. But look, the main question was, could Fox News do it? Could they somehow connect the missing flight to Benghazi? And yes, mission accomplished. They did it in two different ways. So if there was ever a question of whether Fox could be more ridiculous than you could possibly imagine, well, they answered that question today. Yes, absolutely.